there's a moment happening right now where the mask slips. Not the loud racism everybody's trained to notice, the quiet kind, though. The polite kind. The kind that smiles at you while assuming you can't figure out how to stand in line at a DMV.
An act like the SAVE Act is very likely more aimed at voter suppression and at keeping key demographics that the Republican Party does not want voting to not show out and vote. I think very often minority demographics.
That's not true.
No. So this is the thing where the suggestion is it's going to keep the black vote down. I've got two black panelists here. Ajwa?
That's not true.
Do you have ID and proof of citizenship?
Yeah, and if I need a copy of my birth certificate, it's just a matter of going online or going up to the department and asking for it and showing my information to get it. I mean, to say that it would negatively affect a minority group because they're somehow not educated enough to get these documents is completely outrageous.
Annie?
It's quite literally insulting. I don't understand, how you can rally behind somebody thinking you're incapable of being able to get something as simple as an ID. You just listen closely to what just happened here. Not what was said, but what was assumed. Because the argument wasn't really about policy. It was about capability. Somewhere along the way, protesting minorities, or protecting them, rather. I said protesting. Protecting minorities turned into lowering the bar for minorities. And the moment somebody from the very group you're protecting says, hold on, that's insulting. Now the narrative has a problem. Crazy, man. Because the savior just got told nobody asked to be saved. And once that crack forms, guess what happens? It spreads.
Yeah, you're talking about the border. Yeah, the border needed to be closed, but that was because Biden opened it. If Biden had it opened and followed Obama, who deported more people than Trump did, in Obama's term in office, over 3.1 million people were deported. How come you didn't follow that, Joe Biden? How come you didn't follow that, Democrats? How come it was okay to celebrate ICE at that particular time when when Obama was in office, and you had networks literally traveling with ICE to show you the marvelous work that they were doing, but suddenly Trump is doing it, and now it's a pariah, and ICE needs to go, and it needs to be completely banned. Why are sanctuary cities existing? Why is that? Why do you get to, implement laws that could get you to ignore federal laws? How is that? How does that benefit our country? I'm saying to ask ourselves these questions.
I'm going to let you finish in a minute, but real quick, aren't you tired of getting these spam calls and text messages? Do you even know why you're getting them? Sit tight. I'll explain. You see, what's happening is these big tech companies, they're not doing a good job of keeping our data safe. They're not even trying, like literally. Recently, Bank of America had a breach where a vendor mishandled documents exposing customer data like social security numbers. And the reason why you ain't hear about this is because they feel like they don't need to inform you. They going to inform you months later when they feel like it. We all know in that data, it includes full names, addresses, email addresses, credit card info, which basically makes them you. And I don't want nobody being me. I like me. This is why I have to bring today's sponsor to your attention. Aura.com. You see, Aura alerts me anytime my data is breached, giving me fast fraud alerts and removes my info from data broker websites to cut down on that spam. Aura also allows transaction monitoring, VPN, antivirus protection, you got parental controls, identity theft insurance, and it's all in one affordable app. So listen, if my info was ever compromised to any effect, I wouldn't even worry because I know I got Aura in the background keeping me safe all day. This is why I would feel guilty if I just sit here and allow you and your family to go unprotected, man. No. So in order to ensure that protection, head over to aura.com/kingdomreacts right now. Get your first 2 weeks on your boy. You know what I'm saying? And don't worry, I have a link available for you in the description. See you there. Same agency, same job, same laws, different outrage. How come it was okay to celebrate ICE under Obama? Networks even rode along showing their marvelous work. Now, with Trump, it's suddenly evil and ICE needs to be banned, is what Stephen A. said. When enforcement fits the narrative, it's necessary. When it doesn't, it's suddenly cruel, as you see. And when people notice that shift, they start asking the uncomfortable questions, especially people who came here the right way. Because nothing changes the tone faster than someone saying, I used to be on your side.
After watching the State of the Union speech last night, I'm here to tell you I will never support the Democratic Party again. I'm not going to vote for a party that prioritizes foreigners over their own people. They don't think their first job is to protect American citizens first. That's why they didn't stand up for that. I mean, they didn't even stand up for the murder victims, let alone protecting American citizens. It's all about them. Yep, and people keep voting for this party. I don't know why. I mean, look what's happening in Virginia right now, or maybe New York. He explains everything. They're making sure American citizens are bankrupt, literally by taxing the shit out of them. Right after running on affordabilities, they did the opposite. So instead of fighting hard to reduce prices, they are fighting hard to keep the prices up, to tax Americans so they can pay illegal aliens school fees, because that's their priorities. So I don't know why anyone will ever support a party like this. I have no clue why you guys are so fucking dumb. These people literally told you on your face, you're not a priority. You were never the priority. Not once, not ever. I mean, look at the border. Look at how they left the border open, wide fucking open, to allow every criminal around the world to show up here and brutalize American citizens. And last night, they didn't stand up for none of them. They didn't have no sympathy, no pity. Only them matters. Only their feelings. Elon Omar was pissed off because Donald Trump was calling out a fraud that's happening in Minnesota, where they were stealing taxpayers' money to fund illegal aliens daycare, Somali illegal aliens daycare. That's all they care about, illegal aliens. They are defunding the DHS, they are defunding the Secret Service agents, and they are defunding immigration. The people that were created to protect this country in Americans, they are defunding them. That's why the government still shut down. They don't want to pass the SAVE Act because they want to cheat. They want to steal the fucking election by allowing illegal aliens to vote. They all know we can get IDs. They don't give a fuck about that. It's all about them.
That's not anger. That's betrayal. Because this isn't coming from someone outside of the system. It's coming from someone who followed the rules to the T. Got to commend him for that. And when rule followers start wondering why the rules don't matter anymore, you know what happens to trust? It breaks. Over with. Which leads to the bigger reality check, right? Because sometimes this conversation isn't theoretical. It's quite literally personal.
I'm in Washington State, and I know you guys have seen the two parents who are livid that our schools are allowing these ICE protests. And I don't want it to be lost on anybody that this is because Somalians stole $18 billion and Democrats don't want to explain where that money went. So they want to blame this on ICE and make it seem like they're breaking up families when they are really actually trying to get criminals out of this country. At 10 years old, I was almost abducted by an illegal. I was able to remember his license plate number was EXN187. And when they caught him, he was in the act of raping another little girl. Who knows what would have happened to her? This is why it disgusts me when I see adults out here fighting against ICE. And it really disgusted me when I seen them involving our children. A couple of weeks ago, our governor here, Bob Ferguson, went and met with Tim Walz. And about a week after that, he resigned and said he would not be running for governor again. See, Tim Walz and Bob Ferguson needed to get their stories together because Seattle has the fourth largest Somalian population in this country. And 12 years ago, Washington started off with a $14 billion surplus, and now we are in a $14 billion deficit. And I believe that our governors met to get their story straight, because once Washington is audited, we will also see the same type of fraud popping up here in Washington State. Soon as our governor came back, the Democratic Party started to mobilize these ICE protests. And now it has trickled down into our children. We must stop the Democratic Party from infesting our children and indoctrinating our children. They are trying to raise advocates and activists and a bunch of labor workers. They're not trying to turn out scholars. The children in these schools are barely getting an education, but they are telling them to go outside. It's okay to protest ICE, and they're praising them. The mayor of Auburn, Washington, praised those children. Praised them instead of reprimanding the teachers who put them in harm's way. See, Washington State is very corrupt, very corrupt. And once the federal government gets here and starts to audit our programs, our educational programs, our medical systems, they're going to see it. They're going to see it. Washington State also needs to be held accountable. And I hope that now that these parents have put us in the spotlight, that Trump comes, that Holman comes. Not only do they come, I hope they stay.
That's the difference between ideology and experience. Some people debate in classroom, others remember running for their life. And when someone who lived through something says, I want enforcement, the tone shifts from moral posturing to survival. Which brings us to the people the people actually responsible for public safety. Because policies sound different when you're the one dealing with the aftermath.
This is nothing more than politics over public safety. And we as elected sheriffs are fed up with it. You don't see this many sheriffs in one location in the state at any given time. But we have to come together in unison to stop the ridiculousness that's going on up here in Annapolis, Maryland. And lawmakers need to wake up and realize Marylanders and the American people want public safety over politics, and they're not getting it. This is nothing more than politics.
Notice who's frustrated. Not pundits, sheriffs. People whose job isn't to terrorize. It's literally to respond. Because decisions made at the top, they don't stay there. They show up in neighborhoods, and when enforcement disappears on paper, it reappears in reality. Sometimes in the workplace. Because enforcement, it doesn't just live at the border, right?
ICE detained this 58-year-old Mexican undocumented immigrant while he was working at his job at a McDonald's here in Minnesota. Now, we talked to this man's son, Anthony, about this traumatic incident and agreed not to show his full face on camera.
My dad was working at McDonald's over Southtown, and he was just changing the garbage in the lobby when two ICE agents walked inside and they just grabbed him.
So that very same day, Anthony marched into this building, ICE's headquarters in Minnesota, to make sure his dad got the medicine he needs for his heart condition when he says this happened.
I gave an ICE agent my dad's medicine, but I'm not sure if he got it because the ICE agent just smirked at me, like trying to laugh at my face for bringing in the medicine.
Now, a doctor told MS Now that whether or not he gets his meds could be life or death for Anthony's dad. So Anthony came back in today, marched again into that building, and refused to leave until he was 100% sure that his dad got his meds. But Anthony says that the emotional toll that ICE has taken on his family is just too heavy to bear.
I feel heartbroken. I feel alone. I just wish my dad comes home so he could be with my mom and my mom can stop crying at night. It's just like something's missing, like our hearts, some part of our heart's missing when he's not here.
Now, the Trump administration says they're arresting the worst of the worst, but Anthony says his dad has no criminal record. He's just a hard-working man trying to make an honest living for his family while working at McDonald's. MS Now reached out to DHS about this incident. They say that they give comprehensive health care to detainees and that for many of these undocumented immigrants, they're receiving the best health care they've ever received in their entire lives.
No speeches, no panel debates, just reality walking out the back door. And suddenly conversations about jobs and opportunities stop being abstract because every system has pressure points. Relieve pressure in one place and it builds somewhere else. Which is why some want enforcement gone completely, not adjusted, removed.
Abolish and prosecute ICE. We need to repeal the Patriot Act. We need to lift refugee caps, and we need to offer complete amnesty and citizenship to any immigrant here who has not committed a violent crime. Additionally, we need trials. There is no moving forward without justice. Stern words for Greg Bovino aren't enough. Body cameras aren't enough. We need people willing to put everything on the line, not when it's politically convenient, and not have their hands in their pockets. Abolish
and once you hear that out loud, you realize something. This isn't about tweaking the system. It's about replacing it, which is why pushback isn't coming from just one group. Because the voices speaking now weren't supposed to be the ones speaking.
And then to the Haitian bitch that got on here and said we some dirty black Americans, we called ICE on you, bitch, and the IRS. You gonna be going home soon. You will never make another black American dollar in this motherfucking country. And whoever else wanted can get it. We on the road. Y'all make this easy for me when I say y'all hate us. It's an open and shut case. A closed casket. Talk to y'all tomorrow. And
y'all be using those filters. Do y'all ever notice like the lip don't be on the lip? This is where the script falls apart. Because when the people expected to need protection start rejecting it, you're not looking at outrage, you're looking at independence. And that's the real map. Not anger, not partisanship, just realization. The moment people stop accepting assumptions made on their behalf. What assumption do you think people are starting to reject? If you made it to the end of this video, that's the word I want you to put. Reject. Yeah. I'm getting ready to go have me some dinner, y'all. I'm over here starving. But y'all be safe. Go check with somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. What y'all cooking for dinner? You know, we're gonna maximize the comments on this one. I want y'all comment 3-4 times. I'm just saying, I don't even got a reason.